Welcome to the Dynasty Football Key, unlocking success in every episode, talking NFL and fantasy football year round. Like and subscribe to stay ahead of the game. Today's episode, we're actually going to do an ADP check for live drafts with real money on the line in bestball's Underdog tournament, the big board. Let's go ahead and pull this up. The draft just started, and I have the 6th spot here at the 106. So let's see how this thing starts off. We've got Christian McCaffrey off the board. Last year's strategy started with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I think Cooper Kupp was in the top 3 to 5. There's a lot of receivers first, so it'll be interesting now that we've got a running back going first this year. I still think that having that really strong receiver, since we have to start 3 receivers and only 2 running backs, that's really important in this format. Tyreek Hill goes at the 103, CeeDee Lamb 102. So Justin Jefferson, that injury, you're seeing already that it's hurting his ADP. And there he goes, Justin Jefferson at the 104. It's not too big of a slide. Who am I going to take here? So I would take Jamar Chase. I definitely got confidence. All right, he got taken. So it comes down to Breece Hall, who I do believe will be the RB1 this season, or Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm going to go Amon-Ra because I do believe in the talent, and he's proven to be a really good wide receiver in the National Football League. I think he'll continue to do that. That team on Detroit is just continuing to rise. I really like Breece Hall. I do think with Aaron Rodgers coming back, this team's going to be really good. But there's some other running backs that I've seen in some of these other drafts where they start to slip and there's some values later. And I find myself wanting to click the button on those guys. But if you've already got that early running back and not enough wide receivers, then you end up reaching in the other direction and missing out on some of those running back values. We really only need some of those running backs to pop random weeks. There's a lot of RB2s in that range that can have really good spike weeks that we can take advantage of if we don't build the roster around one of those top running backs. But absolutely love those guys. Bijan Robinson went right after that. Breece Hall's teammate Garrett Wilson at the 109. Jahmyr Gibbs 110. So the top 3 running backs are gone. Puka Nacua at the 111. AJ Brown at the 12th spot to end this first round. Queuing up Marvin Harrison Jr. here. Nico Collins, DJ Moore. I'd be happy with any of those. Brandon Ayuk is on the move. I don't think there's any reason to be scared of what he can do. He's been able to produce with 2 other really good receivers and a really good running back around him. So if he ends up on a new team, even if he's the wide receiver 2, I believe he can get a decent amount of targets and produce. All right, 4 left to go, 3 left to go, and only 2 left in my queue. In the second round, it was Jonathan Taylor, followed by Nico Collins, Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyron Williams. And now somebody named Mr. Jr. is on the clock, and they picked DJ Moore. And then Brandon Ayuk goes right in front of me. So I've got to pivot. And I really like Devon Chan because of his spike week ability. I think I'll still go with the receiver here. Let's take the wide receiver 1 for the Kansas City Chiefs, Rashee Rice. And then on the turn, when it's my pick again, I'm going to be targeting a Chris Olave type, Michael Pittman Jr. All right. I really like what Saquon can do on a new team. I have plenty of confidence in him. I probably prefer him over Devon Chan if I was picking a running back right now. Devontae Adams should produce. We just would like to see another quarterback there. So you have to weigh that in. It's still early enough here in April. In February. So lots of things can change. But yeah, I really want to give you guys another best ball draft again. It's a good way to see how people are valuing some of these players for the upcoming season. Even with as little information as we have here in this tournament with Underdog, you can really pick your team. I'll show you the big board here. You get 20 players to choose from, and it's one quarterback, so that's why you haven't seen any go yet, even though I'm pretty sure Josh Allen will go pretty soon. And here's a little preview of my team down here. So I typically like this early to get 3 quarterbacks just in case one gets injured, and to account for the bye weeks to give me most possible points at that position. And then 6, 7 running backs. I like 7 to 8 wide receivers and a couple tight ends. Maybe 3. All right. Josh Allen went the first quarterback off of the board. So a little recap. Sam Laporta went at 2-9. Stephon Diggs after that. Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, Josh Allen, Chris Olave, Jalen Hurts. And then one pick before I go. Hopefully Pittman falls to me here and I can make an easier pick. Otherwise, I'll take Barkley here. I will do a quick double check. So Pittman goes every time. People just getting my guy. So I'm high on Jalen Waddle, even Malik Neighbors, Drake London. Let's see. I will take Saquon Barkley here. I think we can get one really good season out of him. I always felt he was a caliber of player as Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey has produced so well that it's more kind of disrespectful to say that. So I'm going to leave McCaffrey in his own area, but athletically, Barkley's always been there. He's a really good talent. If he gets on a team that he gets to choose, I think he'll go to an ideal landing spot for him. At least it'll be better than the team he was on last year, since they had an injured quarterback and we're rotating to the second and third string. It was really him carrying that team. I think he could have a Christian McCaffrey-like rise in production from when McCaffrey went from the Panthers over to the 49ers. This could be one of Barkley's better seasons. He's getting a little bit older, so a little more of a risk. After me went Jalen Waddle, Malik Neighbors, Mike Evans, Tank Dell. Like I said, I would have really liked Waddle. It was a tough choice there. There are still some receivers. I think if I queue one up, I'll probably get sniped. And I'm like 7 picks back anyway. T. Higgins ends up getting tagged, so he'll still be with Joe Burrow. I'm fine with that. It would have been nice to see him as a number 1 wide receiver on a new team this next year, but we can't always have nice things, and that's okay. 311 was Devonta Smith. 312, Travis Kelce to end the 3rd round, and we're in the 4th here. Lamar Jackson goes first, followed by Cooper Kupp. And I'll start adding more to the queue here. Keenan Allen goes, Keenan Allen not goes. Travis Etienne Jr. I'll queue up Keenan Allen. I do think it'll be more of a run first team. He goes. That's fine. T. Higgins probably will go here. Hopefully I get him. I will bypass these running backs at this point, just since I do need to keep going on the receiver front. So Higgins does go. Take Amari Cooper here. He's been a consistent producer. He'll get his quarterback back, but he's shown he can work with many different quarterbacks. A lot of good options still. I wouldn't have minded going Jayden Reed just to see how that continues to develop with that connection with Jordan Love after a really good rookie season from Reed. Zay Flowers ends up going right after me. Just keep queuing up some receivers here. The rookies, once you get past the most hyped rookies, you'll start to see a little more value. Roman Dunze, I feel pretty confident is going to be a contributor this season. Calvin really will end up on a new team, so he had a good quarterback already. It just depends on if he can find another landing spot with a good quarterback. He can produce. It just may be more situationally that him being out of the league for a little bit, he may go to the highest bidder. I could see Patriots really wanting to bring in Calvin Ridley since they don't have a lot of options at the wide receiver position, and they just may want to go on a spinning spree like they did a few years back and just really go after a guy like that. I could totally see that happening. Still in this range. I think it's pretty good. Him versus Kirk. I still really like Kirk. I just want any of those guys tied to Trevor Lawrence. I think they could have a good season ahead. And for me, a lot of my Dynasty teams have some of these rushing quarterbacks. For this tournament, I like having them as well. Last year, Anthony Richardson didn't really work out because he was injured. And that happens. That's part of the risk. CJ Stroud was a huge value. He didn't go until very, very late. After Bryce Young, it may be in the 20th round, people were able to get Stroud, 18th. But I do like the rushing quarterbacks a little bit more, at least to have one on the team. So I'm on the clock here. Don't need to go quarterback yet because there's still plenty of rushing types left. I will take Jayden Reed here. Yeah, I remember last season having Jayden Reed on a redraft team, and I wasn't starting him because I was like, oh, he's just a rookie, and there's all these other Packers receivers taking up targets. And I just kept seeing him go off on my bench, and I just finally started playing him, and worked out great. Really good rookie season. Let's see if he can keep it going. Let's recap this fourth round. After Lamar Jackson was Cooper Kupp, Travis Etienne, Drake London, Keenan Allen, T. Higgins. I took Amari Cooper. Then it went Zay Flowers, Rachaad White, Jordan Addison, Patrick Mahomes, Mark Andrews, Calvin Ridley, Isaiah Pacheco, James Cook, Terry McLaurin, CJ Stroud. Then I went Jayden Reed. Then it was Ken Walker, Rome Odunze, who I was considering at my pick. And then Trey McBride, Christian Kirk, who I was also considering. And I am about 7 picks away. A year or two breakout from Jackson Smith and Jigba is possible. Chris Godwin without Mike Evans could be really nice. I think Baker Mayfield will be back. George Pickens, he had some good spike weeks late in the season too, so that could help people advance. Yeah, if you're not familiar, in this tournament, you're competing up until week 12 with this league of 12 other folks, and then if you can advance beyond this round, which I think top 2 gets to advance, then you're in another round competing against all of the other leagues that are that were signed up in this tournament. So you'll have a lot of players that are similar on different teams. So you do want to have some uniqueness, meaning if there's a player that's falling undervalued, maybe because they had a bad season previously, don't just skip on them always, at least if you're doing multiple drafts, because that could be a good value that's more unique because you're not going with the consensus picks. George Pickens does go right in front of us. I'm on the clock. Chris Godwin, I had him queued up. I'll go ahead and lock in the pick. So now I have 5 wide receivers. You can see here on the right. Oh, let's move the camera. Saquon Barkley, Amon-Ra St. Rashee Rice, Amari Cooper, Jayden Reed, Chris Godwin. Feeling pretty good that I can get some good weeks out of this group. And again, I can keep waiting a little bit on running back. I can look around at the tight end position. George Kittle's had some pretty good consistency, 170, 170, 162. I remember earlier in his career, there was a lot of like injury games mixed in there. So good to see some consistency there. But if I filter by tight end, only Evan Ingram last year was the second overall tight end. And he's going a round and a half later. So not a big rush. If you believe in Kyle Pitts' breakout, that could happen with new coaching staff in Atlanta. I'd be interested in taking Pitts for sure. David Njoku had a great end of season stretch. It was not with Deshaun Watson. It was with Joe Flacco, so we have to see if that can continue. TJ Hawkinson's pretty far down here due to the multi-knee ligament injury that he sustained later in the season. So again, the value is falling, but for late in fantasy playoff time frame, we would think that maybe Hawkinson is healthy, and maybe that's more unique to have him on a team that has progressed that far into the tournament. And again, the top scorer is going to win that tournament, and maybe Hawkinson has that spike week late. They do still have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, so not necessarily something I want to bank on. It is tough to hit the button on him. Jake Ferguson had a really good season, a lot of touchdowns. Maybe Cowboys add another weapon, so Ferguson might not be the number 2 target anymore. However, I think he might be. So we're at pick 78. ADP for Bowers was 76. Ingram 82. Ingram goes right in front of me. I think I'll still wait on tight end and just see what we've got here. Would not want to go running back quite yet. Okay. I'll take Brock Bowers and see what he can do. Rookie tight end, so there's some risk there. Still not going to want to overload that tight end position. I'll probably take 1 or 2 more. And really with these type of tournaments, you're hoping that a lot of other people are unconfident in a rookie tight end, and maybe he doesn't go off every game all season. But if you have another tight end who is helping carry you, and then Bowers really turns it on as a late season breakout, and you're getting pieces of that, that could really set you apart. I'll recap before my last pick. So I took Godwin, then it was Tajay Spears, DeAndre Hopkins, Brian Thomas Jr., Ramondre Stevenson, Christian Watson, Justin Fields, George Kittle, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Evan Ingram. Then I took Brock Bowers. After that, it was Najee Harris, David Montgomery, James Conner, Kyle Pitts. I would say I probably should take Kyle Pitts over Bowers. Pitts hasn't produced a ton. I just fully believe this is the season for Pitts. So I'd say Pitts is probably a better selection if I'm giving everyone else advice. But who knows? We saw Sam Laporta as a rookie be better than all the other tight ends. So it is possible. I just am not banking on that. And I took Bowers late enough to where it's not like that was the flag I was planting. So then it was Pollard after Pitts, Nick Chubb. So this is a good one where that injury to Nick Chubb, he's fallen a lot compared to last year when he was going around the 4th round. This is the end of the 7th round. I think his ADP could even be lower into the 8th round. Obviously risky, but the injury was week 2, I believe, early in last season. He is expected to have a full recovery. The injury did require 2 surgeries, so the rehab time frame is based on that second surgery. And I think he waited at least a few weeks before the first surgery because of swelling. So I would still count it as, the recovery time I started, middle of the season to late. And you can come back from that. Just depends on what the team decides to do with the other running backs there. I'm on the clock, and I do want to get exposure to a rookie. So I'm going to take Troy Franklin here. We don't know where he's going to land. I don't have to pretend like I know where he's going to land, but there's at least 3 receivers projected to go ahead of him in the draft. And the later in the draft you go, the better the team records are. And there's some better teams in that range. So there is an opportunity he can land on a team where there's a good quarterback, and that could really pay off for Troy Franklin. So before Troy Franklin, the picks I didn't call out at the 8-1, David Njoku, 8-2, Austin Eckler, 8-3, Kyler Murray. After that, Jordan Love, Justin Herbert, Brock Purdy, and then I took Troy Franklin. After that goes Deontay Johnson, Brian Robinson Jr., Jake Ferguson, good pick, Jacoby Myers, and to end the 8th round, Joe Mixon. This person has back-to-back picks. Let's see who they take, and I'll get the queue going. I'm up in about 5. Jameson Williams, get him on there. Josh Downs. I'm going to put DeAndre Swift, Jaylen Warren. I know Warren's going to get some points. I mean, he was getting a lot of reps last year. I'm not saying he was a game breaker, but as far as being a top 5 running back for fantasy purposes, but good talent, a lot of good players in this range still. Courtland Sutton's a player that is falling a lot. It's just we have no idea who the quarterback's going to be, and it just hasn't worked out recently. But I feel like this was one of his better seasons in recent memory. Yeah, 160 versus the last 2 years of 120. So at least an extra point or two per game more. And I'm on the clock. I actually think I'll take Swift over Downs in this spot. I do have a lot of wide receivers. I absolutely want more. But Swift is just another free agent running back like Barkley, who after free agency happens, their ADP could be a little bit higher if they land on a really good landing spot. And even though the running back pay is skewing down in recent memory because these teams are wanting to pay quarterbacks more, it's kind of putting that squeeze on the running back position. I still think Swift is going to get his choice. Previously, he was traded from Detroit to Philadelphia, but as a free agent, hopefully he picks a good spot for him where he can shine. I think he still has a really good skill set, and he absolutely has that pass catching ability. So excited to see what he can do. The quarterbacks are flying off the board. I think really the only quarterback that has some sneaky rushing upside that's available is Drake Maye. Trevor Lawrence has a little bit of that. I'm probably more confident to draft Trevor Lawrence than Drake Maye. At least we'll get them in the queue. Trevor Lawrence, Drake Maye. Those are probably the two that I would want. Maybe I could play the ADP game for Drake Maye, wait another round. I can look ahead at who else has quarterbacks ahead of me. Right in front of me is a team with 1 quarterback, then 2 quarterback, then 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. All right, so everyone has a quarterback ahead of me. There is a chance that they want their backup. There's still other holes on their roster. I have the most receivers, and receivers are drying up, so I can definitely see a receiver run instead of quarterback. And there's still those other rookie receivers people are targeting, like Keon Coleman, who goes right here. So just to recap, after my DeAndre Swift pick, it was TJ Hawkinson, who I mentioned is at a discount. The rookie potential 101, Caleb Williams. Jaden Daniels, another potential top quarterback. Chase Brown, Marquise Brown. And to end the 9th round is Courtland Sutton. The 10th round is Keon Coleman, Josh Downs, Mike Williams, Jonathan Brooks, rookie running back out of Texas, also recovering from an ACL injury. I'm up in 2 picks. I would take Trevor Lawrence here, but if not, let's see who else is available. I've got 2 running backs, 6 wide receivers, 1 tight end. And I could still wait on quarterback. You'll see once we get through, there's still going to be some quarterbacks available, even when I take one here. Khalil Shakir went, then Tua Tagovailoa. Trevor Lawrence is the top ADP pick here, and it's who I wanted, so I'll likely go the Trevor Lawrence route and just keep this draft rolling. And I would double tap quarterback here. Drake Maye goes, it's still early on ADP. 126 for my next pick. What would it be for the pick after? 139. He's ADP 143. And since I already have my main quarterback, I don't have to reach on the second one. There are still some guys left that could play that backup role. Again, the best ball format, if it's just your best player scored at each position. So if I have Drake Maye and Trevor Lawrence at the same time, and whoever scores the most points that week gets their score counted towards my lineup. It won't be both players. It'll just be whichever one scores the highest gets counted towards my lineup against or for that week. All right, we're at the end of the 10th round. So after Trevor Lawrence, it was Jared Goff, Roshan Johnson, Chuba Hubbard, Dallas Goedert, and this person has the back-to-back picks. I think I'll queue up some Other wide receivers, and so real quick, Cole Kmet. This could be a big year for him. He's already signed to a long-term contract. He has the prototypical size. If you look at his metrics, he's a really good tight end. I don't know if he gets slept on or not, just because he didn't have the Bears quarterback pass totals. The passing yard totals were pretty low, so I think if they get a rookie quarterback, again, it'll be a rookie, but a lot of rookies like to use that tight end as a safety net when things get crazy. And even beyond that, there's a chance that the rookie could just have a higher yardage total if they just have one of those big seasons. And he's a lower rostered tight end, so that again could go to that uniqueness of a build. I don't necessarily need to take a tight end here. If you look at the ones that are left, like Kmet, Schultz. You know what? I might be taking a tight end here. I don't. Those are the two that I like. I like Musgrave. It's just Tucker Kraft was drafted at the same time and was really good as well. And all of those receivers are really good. I like Kmet to potentially be the top 2 target in that offense. Tyler Lockett's good. Zamir White, I think, could end up being the starter. So that's tough to pass on Zamir White here. I will still just go ahead and be done at the tight end position. Might make that my last tight end drafted unless there's a really good value later. Schultz goes right after that, so it's probably a good pick. I don't think there's a chance Kmet was going to fall to me. And let's do a little quick recap of this 11th round. And a pick I didn't mention was the last pick of the 10th round, Trey Benson, rookie out of Florida State University. Then it was another rookie, Adonai Mitchell from Texas, wide receiver. And the 11-2 pick was Jahan Dotson, then Zach Charbonnet, Rashid Shaheed, Devin Singletary. I took Cole Kmet after that. Then it was Dalton Schultz, Ty Chandler, and Luke Musgrave. So we got 3 tight ends go right there. Tyler Lockett right after that when we're in the final couple picks of this 11th round. Matt Stafford goes at the 11-11. Make a wish. It is leap year day. So we got this extra day to get another draft in. Hope everyone's having a good morning. Jerry Jeudy ends the 11th round. Then it's Jerome Ford on the back-to-back pick. Everyone in front of me has 2 quarterbacks except for one team. Probably no quarterbacks going. I don't think there's any left. I think... Oh, there is Drake Maye. So if the tilted team doesn't go quarterback, I'll probably take Maye there. And he goes Zamir White. So it was Jerome Ford, Dontavian Wicks, Zamir White. And I'm targeting Maye. So Blake Corum goes. I don't think these guys go quarterback, but I've seen it where there's teams that will hoard quarterback. Maybe they're trying to box out other people. Since I have a quarterback, they might not be thinking that way. This person probably needs a running back. Let's get out of this view. Some other rookies for upside shots. He goes Kendre Miller, who could take a more prominent role in the backfield. Then it goes Xavier Worthy, rookie out of Texas. And I'll go ahead and take Drake Maye. It did pay off letting him fall and not reaching. So instead of that reach pick, I ended up getting Cole Kmet to end my need for tight end. And I still get Drake Maye, who I wanted. So I could probably stop at quarterback and tight end and really just add some running backs to my team that it may not look like they have a prominent role right now in February. But when it comes to maybe week 5 of the season, week 9 of the season, they could have shown their talent, emerged, or a trade could have happened. For whatever reason, they might be in a higher position on the depth chart. We'll just have to see. But either way, I've got a pretty good anchor at the running back position in Saquon Barkley and DeAndre Swift, 2 pass catching running backs that have shown that they can be the starter. So I feel very good about this team. Let's recap. It's Trevor Lawrence, Drake Maye, Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashee Rice, Amari Cooper, Jayden Reed, Chris Godwin, Troy Franklin. And then at tight end, it's Brock Bowers, Cole Kmet. Yeah, I need to do a sleepers video. I feel like maybe it's obvious that Cole Kmet's a sleeper. I don't know. Maybe it'll be more obvious once they draft a quarterback. Okay, so after my pick, and I'll do it on the big board just to switch up. After my pick, it went Pat Frymuth, Gabe Davis, rookie running back Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin, one of the youngest running backs, if not the youngest running back in this class, who's also one of the biggest running backs, followed by Brandon Cooks, Deshaun Watson, Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, rookie wide receiver out of Georgia. He had a couple good seasons and won some titles over there. Kirk Cousins goes. Yeah, so Cousins goes around after Drake Maye. May definitely would not have fallen to this round for me. Jaleel McLaughlin goes, and there's one pick ahead of me, so let's go back to the queue. Khalil Herbert goes, and now it's my pick. So I don't need quarterback. Don't need tight end. And at receiver, I've got 6. Got 15 seconds. Okay, so I like that this running back's at the top of the list. Bucky Irving, rookie running back out of Oregon. He's a pass catching type of running back. And not going to say he'll be a lead back year one, but I do think he'll have a good complementary role. Let's queue up some other players. I think Adam Thielen will continue to produce. I like Roman Wilson. Let's look. I think Tyler Algier, there's no reason to really sleep on whether or not he can produce. He's produced every season he's been in the league. I won a league where I traded Tyler Huntley, backup quarterback for the Ravens, for Tyler Algier in the offseason after they drafted Bijan Robinson, because everyone just assumed it was the Bijan Robinson show. But Algier had a better rookie season than Bijan Robinson's rookie season in comparison, yardage wise. I mean, maybe even touchdown wise too. And even this past season, he was still involved. I know they have a new coaching staff. Still, I'm just looking for a little bit, maybe 1 week or two. Algier has a role. Not expecting too much from him. There's some other players I still prefer. I like the idea of going with some of these rookies where the role's unknown. They could get a good boost in draft stock. I'll queue some of them up in no particular order of my own rankings. This is just ADP. The rookie running back I like is Jaylen Wright. Malik Washington at receiver. And we want to double check these other positions that are sliding by just in case there's a really big fall. I don't like to completely put my blinders on one position just because I thought I was done at those positions. Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, they'll be starting. Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, Will Levis, Bryce Young, Russell Wilson, JJ McCarthy. Those guys should all be starting. I just don't think I need to use a pick on them. And then a tight end. I think I am done at tight end. I just don't see the tight ends available breaking into my roster, and that could happen. But rather go without those guys. And then it's my turn. I could go Adam Thielen just to round out this team. He's still the number 1 wide receiver on that team. Hopefully they bring in a free agent, because I would think Bryce Young could just use a veteran that knows where to be on the field. It makes sense for them to still draft a receiver because they want to have someone grow with Bryce Young and Mingo, knowing that Adam Thielen only has 1 more year left. So you're still going to want to build that receiving core, and this is a good receiver class. Hopefully there's multiple weapons there, but Thielen was able to produce. I think even if it's just early in the season, maybe that tapers off as the other talent starts to develop. I still like what he can do. Let's do a quick recap. I don't think I called out the last round after Bucky Irving. Wan'Dale Robinson at the 3-7, which is pick 151. Michael Mayer, he could have a rookie breakout, or a sophomore breakout. Roman Wilson goes at the 3-9. Michael Wilson goes at the 3-10. Darren Waller, Elijah Moore, Treylon Burks. Man, I was picking him very highly last year. Now he's going 7 rounds later. He was going in the 7th to 9th last year. I think after they got Hopkins, he dropped a bit. Isaiah Likely, Aaron Rodgers, Marvin Mims, Demario Douglas, Audric Estime. I took Adam Thielen. Then it goes Keaton Mitchell, Josh Palmer, rookie tight end out of Texas, Jatavian Sanders, Malachi Corley, rookie wide receiver. Okay, there's Tyler Algier, Marshall Lloyd, Xavier Leggett. So all of these rookies are going off the board now. Yeah, definitely would suggest taking them over Thielen. But last year, Thielen was slept on completely, and that was a huge mistake. He still had a pretty good year. Jalen Polk, rookie wide receiver out of Washington. And I'm 2 picks away, so I would take Jaylen Wright here. I don't know if I want to take Malik Washington at this spot. I always feel like Curtis Samuel has been good for just a couple spike weeks a year. I just have enough receivers to where I do want to get some more running backs. So K. Dotton went, then Geno Smith. My turn. I've got 6 picks left. If I drafted 6 running backs, I'd have 9. I don't want that many. Maybe 4 more. Zach Moss had a very surprising season last year. I'll go with that rookie I mentioned, Jaylen Wright out of Tennessee. All right. And let's keep rolling. Baker Mayfield has fallen about 20, almost 20 picks behind ADP. That's just one of those where I'll put him in my queue at this point. If he falls to my next pick, he was just pretty far away. So it'd be an even bigger fall if he made it there. Could have been worth taking him at the last pick. I think I really feel good about the quarterback core I've got now. So let's see. Curtis Samuel went. Then, okay, Baker Mayfield goes. Let's narrow it down to these running back receivers. So I took Godwin, I believe. Right? No, yes. And Trey Palmer is his teammate. He could be elevated to the wide receiver too if Mike Evans is gone and they don't draft a receiver in the top 3 rounds. I mean, Trey Palmer, I think, went on day 3. But he showed out, and a lot of his plays were big plays. So that's all we're looking for. Some touchdowns here and there, and he was able to get some of those. Let's see. Yeah, 76, 3 touchdowns, 39 catches, 68 yards. 68 receptions. Yeah, I feel good with him. There's some rookie running backs here as well that I like. Ray Davis, Elijah Mitchell. He's the backup to the number 1 player drafted in this draft. And, this is a team that's gone to Super Bowl multiple times, deep playoff runs. Maybe they just want to keep McCaffrey fresh and use Elijah Mitchell. There was other running backs involved as well, and Elijah Mitchell himself has had injury concerns over the years, but they do like him. Probably will just lean towards the upside of a rookie or a free agent like Antonio Gibson, who I think he could have just as good of upside as not any, but a lot of these other free agents as far as just getting on a new team that is a better offense. Now, Washington themselves should improve on offense, but they don't plan to re-sign Gibson. All right, I'm on the clock. Yeah, I think Malik Washington would fall to me. I'd rather go Gibson here because I like the pass catching running back. I know it was a low year for him. I believe in the talent. Let's recap the picks before here. Curtis Samuel, Baker Mayfield, Juwan Johnson, Zach Moss, Derek Carr, Jalen Hyatt, Rashad Bateman, who's getting buzz recently, Tucker Kraft, Tyler Conklin, Devontae Walker, rookie out of UNC, North Carolina, Trey Palmer, Daniel Jones. Then I took Antonio Gibson. After that is Elijah Mitchell. Like about 10 picks to mine. Let's check how many total we've got. Brendan Rice goes, son of Jerry Rice, rookie out of USC. Malik Washington does get taken right after Elijah Mitchell, so I probably should have taken him. He was the leader in yards after catch last season, followed by Malachi Corley. So some good yak ability. Okay, 3 seconds left for this guy, and we'll be at the end of the second round. So it goes Dameon Pierce, and then we got back-to-back picks to end the 16th round and start the 17th. Let's see which way they go. Tyler Boyd, and I'll start working on my queues since I'm up in about 5. Gus Edwards is supposed to be on a new team. He, for multiple seasons, has had a pretty high yards per carry. Even with, the thing is, Lamar Jackson, he opens up running lanes for these running backs. It's really hard to focus on them. So I think that could be part of the equation. Still, he's okay. I don't want to necessarily prioritize him. I've got 5 running backs. I feel good about Barkley and Swift. If there's an injury there, then I've got 3 players that can mix in and get me some points. I'd like to see. Okay, I'd like to see who's that receiver. Okay, Zay Jones just goes. I'll hit a Ricky Parasol in the queue. He goes right then. That could have been your Puka Nacua. I'll take Javon Baker instead. If he falls, there's 1 pick ahead of me. Just to do a quick recap of the 17th round. Chico Okonkwo, Miles Sanders, Zay Jones, Ricky Parasol. I'm up in 1 pick. I've queued up Javon Baker. Let's look who else might be here. There's still some rookie receivers down here. Ray Davis, he goes. That was the last rookie running back that I was going to queue up. I'll queue up Will Shipley. His ADP is ahead of Javon Baker's, but I will take Javon Baker here. All right, and then at running back, Rico Dowdle, he was backing up Tony Pollard. Dallas Cowboys, they really like their homegrown talent. Anyone that they drafted, they prefer over free agents. They, usually in the offseason, will play to the media and, they mention, hey, we're going to go all in. I could definitely see them just re-signing Rico Dowdle for, one of the cheaper running back contracts of the free agent period. That could be an easy deal for them to get done. Tony Pollard may seek more because he was, getting over $10 million last year. And maybe the Cowboys go a different direction since they didn't commit to him last offseason when they could have maybe worked out a different type of deal. So Dowdle could definitely still have an opportunity. I think A.J. Dillon's a free agent. He has gotten opportunities to be the starter. And it seems like he does better in the later part of the season when it's winter and cold and no one wants to tackle him because he's just so big and running people over. So it's not always there. When he has gotten opportunities earlier, the production hasn't been there. He's been in the league long enough. But I think there's a chance he could end up getting a starting role. That's a potential sleeper. It's just we have to see if it'll happen or not. I think he's worth a dart throw. I'm just so tempted with the rookies. And I think Shipley is one of the last rookies I'd want to take a shot on. I'm looking. I like Cody Schrader. Dylan Lobby had a good Senior Bowl. Frank Gore Jr., Dylan Johnson. There's still some names. It's too early for me to count any of these guys out. Absolutely. Brevin Jordan. I think I had him ranked on my last rookie video. George Holani, I traded him. He's a rookie. I traded him in the offseason or during the C2C season, the Campus to Canton League I'm in. But he was able to produce in college. Kamini Vidal, Chase McClellan. Yeah, there's still some guys. How many picks do we have left? I'm 1 pick away. And we've got 3 picks to go. So we got to make sure that the roster is how we want it. So 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 8 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. So likely only need 1 more wide receiver, if that. It's really more for injury to make sure you've got a consistent lineup week to week. But since Will Shipley fell, I will take that shot on him. And just to point out at quarterback at this point in the draft, Will Levis, Bryce Young, they fell. Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy, these are quarterbacks, Bo Nix, these are quarterbacks that could all start at this point this season. I mean, Bryce Young will, but McCarthy, Penix, Bo Nix, there's been various buzz on how high they get drafted in the first round or second round. Kenny Pickett's a starter. Aiden O'Connell could be still starting. Will Levis has that strong arm, so I think between Will Levis and Young, those are the two that have the most likelihood of having a good leap this next season. I expect both to score more than last season. But whichever these other rookie quarterbacks gets drafted in the first round, they'll have a good chance to score. Just kind of looking at what would have happened if we waited at quarterback and took one of them instead of Trevor Lawrence and Drake Maye. So we've got a pretty good running back room. I can just double check if there's not someone that I really want to take a shot on here. I mean, there are players. It's just I gotta eliminate some of the other positions. I could see a tight end. Henry, he had some good games last year. If he ends up on a non-New England team, that could be a big boost for him. Dulcich could end up as a starter this year. Everett is a free agent, so he's likely not going to a much better situation. It could be worse. Those are probably the only three tight ends that are likely to start next season. Brevin Jordan could actually, Brevin Jordan could be a starter if Dalton Schultz does not resign. If I was Schultz, I would love to resign. He's been very successful with those past first quarterbacks and Dak Prescott and CJ Stroud. Brevin Jordan, this could be a steal. Athletic young tight end, not the prototypical height, but he's just more of a pass catching tight end. And this ADP is after the draft is over, so he's going for free basically. That could be like a final pick tight end to take. I only have 2 rounds to go. I've got 6 running backs, 8 receivers. So if I feel good about the quarterback, so I will pass on a quarterback. So I'm drafting as if these are the quarterbacks that are going to go off this season. I'm not drafting as if Bryce Young has a better season than both Trevor Lawrence and Drake Maye and is in my lineup most weeks. You can make drafts that way. But since I've already gone this route, it doesn't make sense to have him as the third because it limits my upside at some of the other positions. All right, I'm up. Bryce Young ends up going. I got the next rookie queued up. I mean, anything could happen with these rookies here. Zeke Elliott. Probably use another running back, but I'll take a rookie here just for the upside. And we've only got 1 pick left. Got 9 wide receivers. I'll queue up. Let's see. Here it goes. I'll queue up Brevin Jordan. Let's just double check my tight end position. Brock Bowers. So I have a rookie and a veteran tight end. So you're banking on Cole Kmet carrying the team for the first part of the season, and then Brock Bowers emerging later. But with Brevin Jordan being tied to CJ Stroud, there's a chance he's the starter. I think that would be worth taking a shot on. He may not fall at this point since someone else can see that. But the ADP says there's a chance he falls. 232. So that is 3 picks ahead of me. We'll see if he makes it there. Seems like he is getting drafted as just a final dart throw pick in a lot of drafts. Okay, so we're pretty much here at the end of the draft. I took Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashee Rice, Saquon Barkley, Amari Cooper, Jayden Reed, Chris Godwin, Brock Bowers, Troy Franklin, DeAndre Swift, Trevor Lawrence, Cole Kmet, Drake Maye, Bucky Irving, Adam Thielen, Jaylen Wright, Antonio Gibson, Javon Baker, Will Shipley, and Jermain Burton. So yeah, that was 3 rookies in a row. There's 4, 5, 6 with May, 7 with Franklin, 8 with Bowers. I can't help myself. A lot of rookies there. We'll see what happens. I think I went pretty veteran heavy in my previous draft. I did some of the little board. Did a few of those. I think I've only done one of the big boards. So this is probably my second or third. And I'll do one more next month. I did a lot in the past couple seasons, and that worked out pretty good. But I didn't start this early, and I saw some statistics that a lot of the winners have come from some of those earlier drafts. Some of the Best Ball Mania drafts have been won. Those teams were drafted in like June, at least like a couple years ago. And it's good to just get in the flow of it, get an understanding of where the picks are, so that when you finally do jump into one of those Best Ball Manias, you have a good feel for where guys are at. And I like doing these before the combine, before the draft, so that way I can see how much of a jump players have gone, and kind of way, is that realistic or not, and even if I notice some values. All right, I'm up with my next pick in one pick. After me, after that Jermain Burton pick was JJ McCarthy, Justice Hill, Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore, Noah Brown. Okay, Alec Pierce, Chase Claypool, Tank Bigsby, Cade Stover, rookie tight end out of Ohio State, Jalen McMillan, rookie wide receiver out of Washington. On the clock is Dylan Lobby, and then Ezekiel Elliott. Brevin Jordan still on the board. Let's see, 6 running backs, 9 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. Probably don't need the tight end, but I already talked it up. I do feel good about it. If you were picking here, maybe take one of these other players. But I think probably any of these running backs, just to give yourself an upside shot there. Let's see what happens with the tight end position over in Houston. If Brevin Jordan's the tight end 1 this season, I've at least got him on one Dynasty team, and we'll be excited to see that happen. Really believe in CJ Stroud. I have Stroud on that team too, so that's really the main reason I got him. I had no other Texans players and couldn't get a trade for John Mechie done. Couldn't get Tank Dell. Didn't try after the injury. Just whenever people get injured, I don't really want to just try to buy low. Like, he's still a rookie and had a great season, so I know people are really high on him. Nico Collins is just way too expensive. We'll see if they draft someone. If they draft someone, I'll be in on that. And that's the other reason I like getting various rookies, because we don't know where they're going to be yet. And hey, maybe they do end up on that Stroud team or end up on this Trevor Lawrence team with Ridley being gone. I think Drake Maye is going to have, well, if he goes to Washington, that receiver room has a top 2, and I think Curtis Samuel could be out of there. We'll see. But I do like that room for him. That is it. We've got one pick left. I'll just announce the picks after my Brevin Jordan pick was Gerald Everett. Okay, Cody sorry. Let's do it on the big board, actually. So you can, all right. So it's showing the... Okay, so I did 3 of these. Let's look at this team. We've got... All right, so... Yeah, that looks good. Let's do a little draft review so I can just see that big board, those final few picks. We had Tanner Hudson, Cody Schrader, Jeff Wilson Jr., and Darius Slayton was the final pick of the draft. So pretty good overall. I like how the team turned out. And yeah, I'll get another one of these drafts out here in the next month. Yeah, I'm still in a slow draft for a little board, so just even though that tournament has closed and filled. Yeah, I like how this team turned out, so we'll have to see. Oh yeah, I wanted to show this earlier, just the format in case no one knows what the format is. 1 quarterback is what you got to start, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. You have 12 bench spots. Whoever's your top scorer at each position is what counts towards your lineup for that week. And then your total score for the end of that 12 weeks regular period, that is what gets you into the tournament of the next round. And you just keep going on from there. and hope you get lucky and make it all the way to the final. I won't worry about pulling up all the rules there. Yeah, I wanted to see if they would show me the rest of the other teams. Okay, here's the other teams, but I won't roll through those. Really appreciate you guys checking this one out. Get some more videos out here pretty soon. Again, for best ball, even though you don't set your lineups, though they're just automatically done, and you just check back in when the season's over. So maybe I'll do a review of how some of these teams went after the season, but that'll be quite some time from now. And really just wanted to get a check on how the draft order is going for a lot of other folks, how they view it. I've had some rankings come out recently, so that gives you an idea of how I'm feeling about some of these players. Let me know what you think about some of these positions, if you think someone's going too high, or like these rookies, or if there's any values that you're seeing. And I do think it helps in that sense from a dynasty perspective to see how those things are changing, especially when you're wanting to do some trades in that moment and see where people's heads are at. So keep these coming. Hope you guys have a good one, and I hope to see you in the next video.